thank you so much for joining us here at the Visionary Readers Book Club. My name is Maleshao Nodatia, and I am your host or your MC for tonight. So thank you very much, and happy Heritage Day to those that observe the day. And I can reassure you that you have not made a mistake by being here with us tonight. So we have a fully jam-packed agenda for tonight. So time is really not on our side. So we will try to be brief and be bright and really dish out those learning nuggets. And just as a house rule, if everybody could please make sure that they are on mute because we don't want to miss out on any of those learning nuggets. So whenever anyone is on the virtual stage, if we could please be so kind to just mute ourselves. And if you want to show some love, you can clap using the virtual icon, or you can even send a heart emoji. Also welcome our guest speaker today, who is Mr. Bongani Putsoane. Sir, you are in good hands, and we welcome you, and thank you so much for being with us this evening. Just to touch on our mission briefly, our mission as the book club is to promote reading within the African continent and beyond. And I'm really glad that today we are celebrating our heritage. And I believe that reading is also or can be part of our heritage. That being said, over to you, Mbali Nkosi, who's going to review a book by one of our very own, by a speech checklist by Dr. Sibongiseni Mgolozeli, one of our African authors. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mbali.
Woo! And then my book fell and my marking. Oh, technology. All right. Proper preparation. Proper preparation prior to presentation produces professional performance. This is one line that captured me. This is the 7 P's that are written in the book. Speech checklist, 5 components of an impactful and memorable speech by our very own Dr. Sibongiseni Mgolozeli. Oh man, what can I say about this book? I've got a lot to say about this book. One of the things that I really admire about the book is the fact that this is one of those books that when I picked it up, I just could not put it down. And the main reason for not wanting to put it down is because having been close or having an interaction with the author, I felt like every time I was reading the book, I felt like I was listening to the author giving a speech. So for me, this book is talking about speech checklist, the 5 components, the key components. And this is one of those books. They not only talk about the components, but it goes straight to the point. Like, this book is not a beating around the bush or I'm trying to get you or lure you to reading. It's like straight to the point. I love that. The fact that the author references their own speeches that they gave at the club. So there are a few speeches that are repeated in this book, and I didn't get enough of them. Even though the author was writing them for the second time or for the third time, I enjoyed the fact that the author was using practical examples to show that how a speech needs to be structured. What I love again about this book is the fact that the author took us to his personal life, the life that he experienced, and also to share with people, because we fall in love first with the person that writes the book before we fall in love with the content of the book. Having been close to the author, the things that are written in this were so authentic to a point that I felt like I was listening to him, giving me a speech, but in a form of a book, listening to him giving me a speech about his life, the difficulties that he went through, the things that he had to experience. And I love the fact that in this book, the author honors, which makes this event very special for me, the author honors her tradition, her roots, his traditions, his roots, his heritage, by actually dressing up during his graduation ceremony to honor his late mom. That for me was exceptional. And to think about, I was expecting him to be dressed in his traditional gear today, because it's a big day. I'm reviewing his big book and all that. But it was it's such an amazing book in a way that you get a family that is united. You get a family that wants to see you succeed. This is the base of us people. This is the base of Africa. we succeed as one. And even though there has been a very brutal attack into the structure of the Black family, I still appreciate the fact that this book shows the beauty of having a family together, to a point that the author even had the picture of himself with his family standing there around him, celebrating him and celebrating this wonderful achievement, and him believing that his mother in heaven is smiling. This for me made me remember that our mother's prayers never just go away with them. Even though they're no longer with us in physical form, they still are with us in the spiritual form. They still intercede for us, even though they're no longer with us on this earth. This book is it's just amazing. And I also love the fact that the author, even though they're speaking about the speech checklist, they're also speaking about the things that are very important. One of the things that I learned in this book is that the author was actually bullied at school. And it shows in this book, he shows the power of forgiveness. And I remember I wrote in page 34, I said, the power of forgiveness. After reading that chapter, I realized just how wonderful it is to forgive people. Now, I want people to understand that it is okay to forgive people, but it's not okay to forget what they did to you. That's coming from a pastor. It is okay to forgive people, but forgetting what they've done to you. So in terms of forgetting, it's do not forget the lesson that you learned in those hard moments. Whether people betrayed you, whether people attacked you, don't forget the lesson that you learned, because if you forget the lesson, then you will always relive the event every time you are triggered. So what I appreciate about the author is the fact that they actually told us about forgiveness. They told us about having to have a healthy diet. They told us about how understanding and respecting other people's culture, because the speaker is actually an international speaker. Understanding other people's cultures can make you be the best among the people. This book is clearly written by someone with a PhD, because I had to get my dictionary every time I was reading it. Now I know that I don't have a fear of public speaking. It's not a fear, it's claustrophobia. So I learned a new word. And the way it's articulated, you know that this person holds a PhD, people. So please don't expect, like, my English has upgraded from Samsung to iPhone. That's how it is. There's only just one thing, though, that I would caution the speaker is that in most cases, when you speak about your speeches, sometimes a person can get lost in what you are saying, the point that you are trying to say. Maybe when you conclude your chapters, go back again to say, as the chapter begins by 1, 2, 3, this is what I mean, 1, 2, 3. And that way it will make your speech more impactful, and also the message that you're putting across more impactful. Other than that, fellow visionary readers, please read this book. There are lots of authors that are being referenced in this book. This book is done by someone, again, with PhD, research. The author has researched the book, the people he speaks about, the people that he references is amazing. This is one book that I'm going to now give the rating. In terms of execution, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. In terms of style, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. In terms of presentation, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. And the reason why the book is not getting a 10 out of 10 is because I thought the author was going to mention me, but they didn't. But it's fine. But thank you so much, Doctor, for this speech checklist book. It's amazing. Everything that you need to be the best speaker, get yourself a copy and please read it and apply. This is such a wonderful book. Thank you very much, Doctor, for this book. Thank you, Madam MC. I yield control over to you.
Wow, well done. Thank you so much, Mbali. Thank you so much. I could relate to what you were saying, because I mean, I also have the book. It's right here next to me. And honestly, knowing the author, it gives that book that woza woza. They call it woza woza. You feel it's very personal, and you always, coming back for more, and having a person that it becomes personified, right? So it's really good. And I think that's also one thing that can really help us promote the reading culture in our African continent, by having more African authors and really knowing these authors and having these authors in our midst. We really, really feel blessed. Thank you so much. I don't know if we have any questions for Mbali regarding the book that she has just reviewed. Bongi, I see your hand is up. Over to you.
Thank you, Madam MC. From my side, it's just a comment. Dr. Sibu, I'm still waiting. Can I collect on Monday, please, tomorrow? Because the FOMO, it has got me.
All
I
right.
also want to read, so I
Yes.
can see if I can concur with Mbali's review, or I will have other points.
All right. No problem. Tomorrow is fine. Monday.
Thanks. We'll chat on the side and arrange that collection. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. You're welcome.
Perfect. You see the advantages of having the author in your midst. You can just ask anytime, how can we get your book? Where can we get this book? So I think now we will now hand over to Dr. Sibo, who will review one of my favorite books, which is Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. Wow, Esther, over to you.
Thank you so much, Madam MC, and good evening, everyone. Yes, indeed, it is also one of my favorite books, Trevor Noah's Born a Crime and Other Stories. I was thinking in terms of how should I go about reviewing this book and doing justice at the same time. Honestly speaking, I asked the lady who was supposed to review it last month. Even today, she couldn't make it today to review this book, but I was like, it has to be reviewed no matter what. So we made a deal. She said I can review. I took her notes. She basically, when I tried to rehearse her notes, she took about 3 minutes to basically review the book. And then I'll take another 3 minutes to review my part. So all in all, I'll still took to the 7 minutes. So here we go. For my part, I was actually asking myself in terms of what makes a great writer. The same way I ask myself if someone is giving a speech, what makes a good speaker? So with Trevor Noah as an eloquent and very dynamic communicator, I noticed a few things that he has learned from other communicators. One most important thing is great communicators ask themselves a question. What do I want the person who's reading my book or experiencing my speech? How do I want them to think, or what do I want them to think, feel, and do afterwards after experiencing my message? So they start writing or speaking with a purpose. And that means for him, the goal is simple. I guess you can tell his purpose for writing this book. The dominant one was to entertain. So there are 4 key things. Either you entertain, you educate, it's either inspire or inform. So those are 4 things. And I think Trevor Noah in his writing, he ticked all those 4 boxes. His book is entertaining, is very informative. He's also inspiring. Like his whole life story is just out of this world, as you know him as one of the comedians that we love so much. And I had to ask myself after reading the whole book, if I were to describe Trevor Noah in one word, what would I say? And I came up with an acronym, and I think it's not limited to that, but in summary, in terms of the top, let's say 6 things that I can just summarize him. The wisdom is basically an acronym: W for witty, I for intelligent, S for smart, D for dynamic, O for open-minded, and then M for mindful. Those last 2 parts, I think that's what makes him the great communicator that he is, because to be a great communicator, you must be a great listener. And to be a great listener, you must always be mindful of the people you are communicating with. Even in your book, you must always anticipate in terms of what you want to achieve. Either you want them to laugh, either you want them to think and reflect, or you want them to learn something in terms of what you are teaching. So in terms of wittiness, humor, that is unquestionable. Intelligence, some of you also knows him as the former host of The Daily Show. The question he would ask, and I mean, also having to be dynamic communicator, he just moved from different topics and just unlimited in terms of the wide range of topics he can engage any other people from. So that's how intelligent he is. And when I read the book, I realized actually his mom did a great job trying to inculcate and cultivate the culture of reading while he was still a little boy. So that made me excited, because I know that's what we're trying to push in the book club, as well as in the podcast in general, trying to push our mission, which is to cultivate the culture of reading in the African continent and beyond. So now in terms of the writing in general, one of the things that key communicators do is basically to make sure they use the rhetorical devices to paint a more vivid picture of the different concepts they are trying to teach, or even their own story, as this book is a memoir. That's what he was trying to do. Things like similes and analogies and metaphors and anaphoras, epiphoras, and most of all, the dominant theme was using different stories to teach his comedy, to teach different concepts. So the education part with the informative part, I learned more about apartheid from Trevor Noah's book than any other book. I mean, when it started, why it was started, and for him having to infuse humor, even though those experiences were quite traumatic to people who were living at that time. But when you infuse humor, you tend to learn more with an open mind and then laughing at the same time. And that makes you to grasp the concept and having to remember it for a very long time. So I appreciated that a lot about Trevor Noah's book. So I can even give examples in terms of what I mean by analogies and metaphors and so forth and so forth. But to finish off the review, I would like to go on to the second part of the review. Hopefully, I'm still within time, Madam Timer. You just need to spotlight yourself so that I can see when I'm left, how much time I'm left with. But to go on Sophie's review, I'll just read quickly something that will take maybe less than 3 minutes to basically read what were her views or her thoughts regarding this book. So to kickstart, she says, to commence, it is important to note that during the era of apartheid in South Africa, the conception of interracial children was strictly forbidden. Consequently, for Trevor, who was born to an African mother and a Swiss father, his very existence was deemed illegal. Born a Crime serves as a memoir chronicling the life of this illicit child who grew up under one of the most oppressive and racial discriminatory regimes in the world. Astonishingly, not only did Trevor manage to survive these dire circumstances, but he also flourished, ultimately achieving great success and becoming a source of inspiration for countless others. Upon first encountering the title and the subject matter, one might readily assume that this narrative would be replete with tales and despair, harrowing anecdotes, and the grim realities of historical events that Trevor Noah had to endure. However, readers will be pleasantly surprised by his candid and heartfelt portrayal of the hardships he faced, which is infused with a remarkable sense of humor and insightful retrospection, akin to that of a seasoned veteran. Moreover, Trevor effortlessly intertwines the innocence and mischief of childhood, further enhancing the depth and richness of his storytelling. As you delve into the pages of this memoir, prepare to experience a wide range of emotions. At times, you may find yourself infuriated by the injustices Trevor Noah recounts, while at others, you will just be unable to contain your laughter, captivated by his wit and charm. Additionally, you will undoubtedly be intrigued by the narrative as Trevor Noah provides a unique perspective on the resilience and fortitude displayed by an ordinary individuals who, despite facing immense adversity, managed to carve out pockets of joy and triumph in their lives. And in conclusion, Born a Crime is a remarkable testament to the indomitable human spirit and the power of perseverance. Trevor's eloquent and engaging storytelling technique will leave you both moved and inspired as you bear witness to his extraordinary journey from an illegal existence to a life of purpose and achievement. That was a summary by Sophie Maseko, and that brings me to the end of my review. Back to you, Madam MC.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sibo, for that lovely dual review. We really, really appreciate it. Do we have any comments, compliments, and questions for Dr. Sibo?
Sibongile's hand is up.
Oh, Sibongile, over to you.
All right. I haven't read the book. However, you just made me get intrigued and I would love to read it. And I think I know exactly when I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it when I'm doing my Tsitigama trail in December, that book. So I'll make sure that I get it. Thank you so much for that review, Dr. Sibu.
Right, you're welcome, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Sibo. You'll definitely enjoy it. I mean, I read it and I laughed, I cried, and I was truly inspired. So hearing Dr. Sibo's review this evening just reminded me of that. And I think maybe I gave away my copy, which is something I hardly do, but it was that good that I wanted a friend to also read. That I think I will definitely try and have a refresher reading. Thank you so much, Dr. Sibo, for that review. We will now move on to Gilebogile Ntite, and she will be reviewing the book called The Astonishing Power of a Story by Justin Cohen. Gele, over to you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you to the MC. As mentioned, my book is The Astonishing Power of Story by Justin Cohen. It basically has 4 chapters, and it's a book that has a lot of stories inside, so I hope I don't lose you in the process when I'm trying to explain what the whole book is about. So jumping into the first chapter, it takes us all the way back to the beginning where Adam was made and how his brain kind of functioned, like how he was able to name the trees and the animals. And the story moves on to the cavemen and how their brains had the ability to create tools and artwork on their walls. You know, I think if we think about it, the artworks on the walls kind of became like interior design in our generation. And he then jumps into the revolution of a brain, which was something that was done at the University of Parma in Italy. So basically, the people put electrodes in the brain of a monkey because they were trying to understand like how that brain is going to be working. So they gave the monkey peanuts. He took the peanuts from the floor and he ate them. And there was some sort of activity happening because the machines were going wild while he was like taking it into his mouth and eating. And then they did something similar where they put students out there to eat ice cream. So the moment when the monkey was looking at the students eat the ice cream, when the students took the ice cream to their lips, the same kind of like similar stimulation was happening on the machineries again, which proves a point of saying sometimes you don't need to actually be doing the actual thing to feel the movement. Sometimes like your brain is still active. So for example, if somebody was to bump their toe against the wall, we all know that pain. So we're also kind of like going to feel the pain. It's kind of like a mirror image. We don't have to necessarily be doing the thing to be feeling it. Okay, and then for chapter 2, he goes into how powerful stories can be. For example, he made a story. He referenced a book called Sorrows of Young Retha, who is somebody that fell in love with someone's fiance. And eventually the girl got married to the particular fiance and he couldn't take the heartbreak. So he decided to kill himself. And a lot of people read that book. And somehow a lot of people related to him because around 2,000 men actually ended up killing themselves. And this part just basically shows how powerful a book can be. But obviously there's other people that didn't kill themselves. And, you know, they take note that you don't necessarily have to kill yourself, you know, as a resolution. Like you just take what you take and you feel what you feel, but you don't necessarily have to do what the person does. So yeah, he also mentioned how his first time at New York felt like he'd been there before. But he realized that it's all the material that he like indulged in, like all the movies, the music, the lifestyle, because we tend to adopt a whole lot of those things in our lives that the minute we get there, like it automatically feels like we were there. But that's like how powerful stories can be. Like you can already feel like you were once there, but you know, it was just like in your mind. And chapter 3 just talks about the organization and the story, like in the organization. Like sometimes you want your employees to become better, you know, to improve in their services and everything like that. And instead of putting facts and boring them to death, you can always use your personal story and, you know, just basically tell them how you came about and everything, you know. It explains what the mission is of a company, the legacy. There's like stories that connect to individuals' contributions to each company. He also talks about like success stories. This is like ordinary people that do extraordinary things, you know, and that's how, and that's like the end on the whole organization story. And then in chapter 4, he talks about storytelling. And I saw Sibu mention like the different types, like you get to decide what you want to, what kind of person you want to be, like what kind of speech you want to do, whether you want to entertain or inspire or anything like that. In this one, he talks about to be pessimistic or optimistic. So you can basically tell the same story, but in different ways. But he just encourages that a lot more stories could be, if a lot more stories were optimistic, then like depressed people could also reduce their level of depression, because when you change your story, you kind of change the chemistry of your brain. He also talks about sometimes when your mission is to inspire, you are definitely going to feel it in the story, because, you know, you basically also have to talk about like the adversities and how you like resolve the situation. And a lot of people just sort of get inspired by your story and like where you came from, how you basically got over everything, all those adversities. And he actually has an acronym for that called DART, which is desire. So you basically have a desire of a story that you want to talk about, and you talk about, and the A is adversity, that's like whatever it is that you're going through, and R is the realization and resolution, and T is like a take-home point, and that's what a lot of people seem to take off from your particular speech. And what I've basically learned from this book is how stories can have the most powerful form of influence in a good way and a bad way, and how stories can be used to inspire, to lead, to persuade, and there's always lessons to learn as well. And it shares how you can work on your storytelling so you can speak and act and tell better stories. And, you know, more importantly, you don't always want to tell the story, but you always want to make people feel the story. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kilebogile. We really, really appreciate that, with that excellent book review. And I think most of us can really relate. I mean, as we grow, I think we realize the power and the impact of stories and in relating to others, connecting to others, and also inspiring others. So thank you so much. Do we have any questions for Kele?
Hope not.
Yes, Bongi.
Hi, Kele. That was interesting. But you broke my heart when you spoke about him being in New York and, you know, relating it to the material that he consumed. Are you saying to me that deja vu is a myth? Because
Yes.
I take deja vu and spiritualize it. I believe that my spirit has been there and I'm just lagging behind from a physical point of view. So what does he say about that exactly?
He just talks about the movies that he used to see, the music that he used to indulge in himself. And yeah, he just thought, oh, okay. You know, when you're looking forward to going to somewhere and then you actually get there and you're like, oh, okay. This is everything. Like everything was but it's all because of all the information that he actually indulged before he actually got there.
Okay. I'm gonna find a book that talks about deja vu in a more spiritual term. I can't accept that. Thank you so much, though.
Thank you, Bongi. Over to you, Wendy. I have a question from Wendy.
Hi, guys. I'll put my camera on, but I'm eating. Sorry, I'm so hungry. Kile, my question is, you actually mentioned that the book has a lot of stories, right? And when you mentioned those 4 chapters, I could actually sense there's a lot of stories in there. How did you follow that book? So when you were reading, did you get lost? Were you able to follow? And what was maybe what was the highlight? Which chapter was the highlight for you and the biggest lesson you got from the book? Thanks.
Yeah, there's moments where I had to be like, whoa, this is like information overload. Like I can't handle this anymore. But I think just most of the stories I took, like I said, every single story has a take home. So basically just, I think my take home was that like, there's lessons out of everything that you can learn. So everybody's story, whether you're killing yourself, whether you reach your ultimate goal, whether you failed so many times to get to a particular point, you did something. And yeah, that's like what I actually take from there. Like you worked hard, you did all that you had to do. Despite the failures, you decided to be optimistic about it and you still like carried it through and did the best that you can do.
Thanks for that. Because actually when you were talking, I also took that lesson already.
before reading the book, my lesson also is tell the story in a more optimistic way, right? Not to say you're ignoring the negative,
No,
but you actually, yes. Okay, all right, cool. Thanks. Maybe I'll get it also.
so you can make like the bad moments, but also it'll be nice to see how you know, it's not a self-pity party or anything like that. Like, how did you get over?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Akili.
Okay, we have another question. Bali, over to you. I
It's
see
like
all the questions were waiting for you, Kele.
Relax, lady. I won't bite. Trust me, I won't bite. I just want to follow up though from Wendy's question that in the bed stories that you read, did you take anything from them? Because I know that most of the time we listen to the positive stories, which is the winning stories, but I personally believe that we learn more from the failures or the bad stories because they actually are the one that builds our character, makes us tenacious, and we show fortitude in terms of struggle. Is there anything that you learned personally from those bad stories that you read from the book?
Yeah, the worst story like that I read was the whole suicide thing. But, you know, I guess we can't judge people for those kind of decisions that they do. For them, it could have been like their only way out. But yeah, it just kind of makes you think and understand that actually people go through a lot, and there's so many ways, there's so many choices that you can make to actually get out of there. But yeah, it's also through the failures that you see, Horea, I can, if I was in this position, I hope I'd never do something like this. But yeah, I hope I answered.
Yes, you answered, but it also gave me another question. So you're saying that, so you're saying the suicide story. So I know that most people have gone through the phase where they wanted to take their lives because they felt like life was. Have you ever had that moment? Did you ever thought about that? You personally, I'm not asking the author, I'm asking you. As you were reading the book, you were relating to it, obviously, in some way, on one way or another. Have you had the moment in your life where you wanted to commit suicide? You thought that suicide. Are you crying? I hope I'm not making you
No,
cry.
no, I'm not crying. It's the light.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm thinking, no, I've never had that. I think I love food so much that I'm just thinking if I was to take my life now, like what's going to happen to all this food that I'm so supposed to eat? But no, I don't think I have. Like, no matter how tough it is, I understand that life is probably grooming me to become something way better than this. You know, you have to just go through the process. Sometimes you have to appreciate that bad moment that's happening, even though you don't understand what's happening. But yes, you just need to be brave enough to pull yourself together, learn the lesson as well, you know, and yeah, and you carry it from there.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Enjoy the food and sharing.
Thank you so much for all the questions. Thank you so much, Kele, as well, for braving the questions. I think we will now move over to Sibongile Mtweni, who will be reviewing the book titled Love, David by Diane Case. Over to you, Bongi.
Thank you so much, Madam MC. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be reviewing the book Love, David by Diane Case. This is a book that was published in 1986. And the book has 31 chapters. You can literally read the book in a day. It's this thin. It's so thin. I read it in a week because I only had 30 minutes a day to read it, and I fell asleep before the 30 minutes was over. The book is a narration of the life. It basically depicts the life in the Cape Flats pre-1994. It is narrated by a 5-year-old called Anna. Anna lives with her family. She's got a big brother called David, and David is a half brother to Anna, and he's almost a teenager, and he's in his rebellious state, lives with the stepmom and the dad, and he gets himself into illegal activities there in the Cape Flats, trying to run away from poverty at the time. The book is literally took me to a point where I thought about my own life, basically, because in this book, the mother is a domestic worker and the father is a gardener and has odd jobs that he does from time to time. And also he's an alcoholic. So it talks about a lot of community issues that are a legacy in a sense, however, are still prevalent in today's lives. And when he's drunk, he would once in a while beat the mother up and the children as well. So David and Anna are half siblings. It brings in the blended family dynamics. The book also talks about how I came across the book. Let me put it this way. This book was published to be taught as an English literature at a secondary level school. So it was my big brother's book that I used to steal and read or help him with his exam preparations. So what stood out for me in this book, without going too much, did I say how many chapters it is? Yeah, it's 31 chapters, and each chapter is about a page and a half or 2 pages at most. So what stood out for me in this book was the sibling love, the connection that Anna and David had. And it reminded me of the connection that I had with my big brother as well, to a point that at some point they rescued a dog in a dam that an owner just put in a bag and threw in the dam. And David went in there and rescued this dog. And this dog anchored him. It helped him not to fall into the bad gang activities. And when the dad killed the dog, it set David on a different path completely, where he went back to the gangs and he ran away from home. And Anna followed him for 2 days. They slept in a cemetery and they even slept at the gang's hideaway place. And for 2 days, this 5-year-old, without food, without water, was with his brother, who always made a plan to try and give her food and feed her and also take her back home and make sure that she doesn't follow him again, because he could not go back home, as him and his dad did not see eye to eye. And that just reminded me of how I used to go everywhere with my big brother. He was a big soccer player and I would just follow him everywhere. So I could relate to some parts. And when he lost the dog, how he lost himself. And at the end, he ends up in jail because he was found with stolen goods that he had stolen for the gang, and he was sent to jail, where he started going to school and not skipping school anymore. And Anna was a year later, where his involvement in this gang got them to get a better housing, the RDP houses, then from the state, because they had a social worker that was involved in making sure that this child grows up in a good environment, stable environment. And they were taken out of where they were renting a shack in a backyard to a proper house where they had a garden. So yeah, that's where it ends. It ends with David writing Anna a letter. Hence the book is Dear Love David. That's how he signs the letter, as Love David, telling her how he has progressed from school in prison and how he started to read, and now he can write her letters. Thank you. Back to you, Madam MC.
Thank you for that lovely review with a personal touch. I always love how, we can personally relate to books. So thank you for that. Mbali, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam MC. Bongi, thank you for such a wonderful review. I could feel your voice getting emotional when you're speaking about the siblings' love. I just want to ask you, like, from a personal point of view, like asking you, not the author, while you were reading the book, did you feel that there is more that we need to do in terms of strengthening that sibling bond? And the reason I'm asking that is because from the book that I was reading, as I was reading, I could see the importance of having people that have your back. And when I say people that have your back, your siblings having your back. Do you feel that there is a need for us to strengthen that sibling bond in the Black society?
Absolutely, Mbali. The reason it touches my heart is because my big brother and I are half siblings as well. We share a mother, but we don't share a dad. And I've also realized the dynamics, the family dynamics that it brings, especially for a boy child who never gets to meet his own dad. Even though in the book, this is the dad, it's the mom that they never say anything about. So from my personal story, my brother lost himself without knowing where he comes from, who he is, and him coming from a different clan, because he's actually Xhosa while we are Ndebele. And I've watched him lose himself in trying to find who he is, in trying to find where he belongs as a man. And that has also diluted our relationship, or had an impact on the relationship that we had. So when I was a little baby, he was my protector, he was my hero, he was my everything. And now I miss him. I miss him. And because we no longer have parents between him and I don't even know where to go to, to have a third party that can actually bring us together. So I miss that connection. I miss that love. I love him dearly, but I know that he is at a different space in his mind, and nobody can get him out until he decides to get himself out.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm gonna withdraw my second question. Thank you.
Thank you. Gele, I see you have a question.
Yes, I do. Hi. So basically, I wanted to ask, you spoke about the abuse that the father does. Do you think there's any preventative methods to ensure that abuse doesn't happen? Because I feel like it's like a reaction to some sort of thing. Would you say there's any like preventative methods that one can do to make sure that it doesn't happen anymore?
Absolutely, Kelly. I think healing is important in the Black nation, especially for males. We tend to see more females do, a lot of work in terms of healing and forgiving. But the male child, or the male adult, they harbor a lot that things that they never speak about. And I think a lot of healing needs to happen. I mean, if you look at the GBV movement that is now Thrive, and everybody talks about it right now. If you look at the late, who's that guy who killed himself in December sometime? I forgot his name now, but I'm sure you guys know about him. How he spoke
Was
about
it not
him.
Patrick Shai, maybe?
That's the one. Thank
Patrick
you so
Shai.
much.
Okay.
Patrick Shai. Yes. How Patrick Shai spoke about how, because he was an alcoholic and he also abused his wife. He used to beat her up. And when he now unpacked the feelings and the things that he was going through, is because for generation, and we all know this, how this was prevalent in our community pre-1994, and even going forward today. Yes, we've got the GBV movement, we've got all these things that we are highlighting on an annual basis. I mean, we've got 16 days of this and so forth, and a national day of that, or international day of this. However, there are still people who live with the alcohol substance abuse, and they can't unsee or unexperience things that they had experienced when they were young. So now it is upon us as the now generation to make sure that our children don't have to experience the same things that we have experienced. And also we teach the boy child to heal. We teach them that it's okay to speak your feelings. It's okay to be angry, to be mad, but there are healthy ways of you expressing that anger. You don't have to beat another person and so forth. And those who are adults already, we take them through, that healing process so that they can understand their own psyche and their own emotions. Because when a person is self-aware, they are able to think about the next person. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the questions. Toby, I see you have a question. Do you mind if we could please leave it until the end? Just mindful of the time, and we still have our guest speaker who still has to just give us his book review. So if you don't mind, we would like to just maybe park that question for the end. That being said, I would like to hand over to Dr. Thank you so much, Bongi, for your review. I would like to now hand over to Dr. Sibo to please give us a quick bio introduction of our guest speaker for the evening. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Madam MC. So he sent me a very long bio, and luckily for me, I also have his first book called Knocked Down But Not Out. He will be talking to us this evening about his new book called Public Success, Private Failures. But briefly, to know our guest speaker, I'll just say Bongani Putsoane has served faithfully on the Foxfire Youth Team of African Enterprise, AE, in 2016. So with that statement, I would like to say he's a youth pastor. Of course, he's an author, and he's a motivational speaker. So be prepared to be motivated and inspired. I don't want to go into details, but he has done amazing work since early in his life, because I believe we're going to hear more of his story, how he turned from being someone who was not so much of an inspiration to the youth into someone whom most of the youth in South Africa is looking up to. For instance, now in terms of his motivational talks, Bongani has visited schools and places on a mission work, such as different countries like Zambia, South Coast of Durban, and Pietermaritzburg, Johannesburg, Mafeking, Pretoria, Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, Bloemfontein, just to name a few. But ladies and gentlemen, let me not go at length to talk about the man himself. Let's allow him to take the stage and hear from him. Over to you, Bongani Putsoane. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, man, special greetings to each and every one of you guys. Wow, what an introduction. You know, when people introduce you, it's like, is that me? Me, not loyal, you know? So yeah, no, thank you so much, man, for that introduction. What a privilege, what an honor. Thank you so much for the invites, for being in the room with such amazing speakers. My name is Bongani Putsoane, as my brother have said. I'm all the way from Durban. I have the privilege of being one of the young people who have written 2 books. You know, whoever thought that a person like me could write a book? Because let me just give you a brief summary. Not just 2 books. It's history in the making. You know, when your family says there's nothing good can come out of you, and then God begins to say, I'm going to start something good inside of you. It's like when somebody says to you, when you write a sentence and you put a full stop and they think it's the end, but meanwhile, somebody's saying to you, it's a beginning of a new sentence. You know, you're looking at someone who could not read and write. I was addicted to drugs. I couldn't speak. My English was broken. One of the things that I want you to understand when I talk, basically I'm covering my book as I talk to you. It's called Public Success, Private Failure. When you look at the image, it speaks of you look good. When we see you in the mirror, you look all awesome. You look all cute. Everybody, when you post a picture on Instagram, you look for the best one. You want to make sure that they must see you. They must know you hit that one. You know, some of the ladies, you know, you move your weave. You know, they gotta see that this one is a Brazilian hair. You know, but the question that I always say to people that we shouldn't be people who have happy pictures but broken hearts. You know, so you gotta balance the 2. You can't be a public success but a private failure. You know, and your heart is like this. You look nice, but how's your heart? So this is a shirt that I've illustrated. She said I don't want to put it on. It's going to mess up my traditional attire. But the point is, as people, we got to make sure that we got to strike a balance. Yes, trust me, you can be a public success and a private failure, which it's good, but it needs to be balanced. You can't be just one thing, it's up there, and the other it's down there. You have to strike a balance, baby girl. You have to strike a balance, myself, PhD doctor. You get what I'm saying? So Bongani Putsoane, my first book, it's called Knocked Down But Not Out. I come from a broken community. I was addicted to petrol, glue, and all that, you know, finding myself, like I'm saying, I volunteered in different places, you know, to empower myself to be the person that I am today. I remember one thing about me is that I didn't allow my situation to define me. I always say to people, my past is a place of reference, it's not a place of residence. I don't belong there anymore. It's a place where I look and say, hey, I have history. I've been there, but it's not gonna dim my light. So everywhere I used to go, my doctor, getting invited to speak. I was a passionate Zulu guy, love speaking in Zulu. I couldn't speak in English, but I always traveled with a translator. Someone used to translate for me. I always say to people is that I don't care how big is your dream. Your dream can be so big, but the question is, do you have the mentality and the capacity to push yourself towards the dream? I always wanted to speak. But hey, Chief, that's English. Didn't know, but I had a translator. That guy translated for me for years until one day he stood on the stage. He said, Bongani, today it's a defining stage of your life. I said, what do you mean, sir? He said, I'm not going to translate for you. Go speak your broken English so that we can see you. Are you learning? Spoke my broken English and stuff like that. And then from there, I started soaring. I started going up and up. Today, as you can see, I speak in different platforms and I hit my English and people are like, wow, come on, boy. Why? Because I did not allow a situation to hold me back. So public success, it's where I share different things about my journey. For example, I'm just going to touch on 2-3 things, and I love doing illustrations. I touch about mental health because we have a generation that think that success is an overnight thing, like a mushroom, 2-minute noodles. Everybody thinks, hey, Bongani is successful. I want to be like Bongani. I'm like, when I speak in schools, I've been to over 700 schools, and students are like, Bongani, I want to be like you. I'm like, you don't want to be me, because I went through a process of being a builder. You gotta go through a season where you build your life. When you see someone wearing a helmet, it speaks of building. We see when they're building a mall, they put a picture of saying, this is where we are going. This is where we are heading. It might look like you can see bricks and everything. It's because it's a preparation. I always talk about the 5 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor performance. So you gotta prepare. You gotta lay the foundation. Some of you don't even have a cement, but you want to talk about being a millionaire. Like, really? You want to drive a Bentley, you want to stay in a mansion, but you haven't even bought even one brick to start building your life. You have never even read a book. Come on, somebody. So it starts with you building. And I always say to people, failure is part of the success. Look, I think school has been designed in such a way that they sell to us too much of success. Get a job, get married, have a car. No, man, I want people who will tell me, you're going to fail. And I always say to people, marry failure, because failure, it will produce greatness inside of you. When you look at the grapes, if you buy grapes, you can enjoy them in one level of just being them grapes. But there's another level of grapes turning into what? A grape juice, because they go through a season of crushing. Some of you just want to die in the stage of just being a grape. Like me, I told myself, I said, hey, ma, I know here in our family, no one has graduated, no one has matric, no one has nothing here, but listen to me. I'm going to be the first person to be on TV. Why? I died so that I can be what? To set a new level, to set a new trend for my generation. So in my book, I speak about the letters. I speak about A, being announced that you are not an oxygen thief. You never just come to this earth for you to just occupy space. You not just come here to come and eat McDonald's and then after that you die. No, you got to create a legacy. You got to make sure. Someone said to me on my book launch, Bongani, why do you write books? What if people don't buy your books? Baby girl, my brother, listen, I'm not writing books to be sold. I'm writing a book so that when my kids come up, they will say, my daddy made history. We're not doing these things for the likes, for the comments, to be the bestseller. I might not be a Vusi Tembewa and fill up a stadium, but in my own mental capacity, in my own vision that I've been given, I filled up a stadium, because sometimes we always like to look at other people's baskets instead of focusing on our own baskets. So that's what I'm trying to drive in this book. Focus on yourself. We talk about being born. You cannot choose your family. Some people, I always say, you are born looking like your mommy and daddy, but you're going to die looking like your decisions. So you are born, but you'll die looking like your decisions. Stop looking at your neighbor. You look at C, as I want to wrap up with my C. First, C talks about crushing. And crushing, I always say to people, my doctor, this is you. You have a dream. You're Shisa. You're hot. Hey, you are telling them, me in school, so tell my dreams. Hey, you know, I went back to my school, I think 3 weeks back, and the same teachers who said to me, I'll never amount to nothing. I had to address them in assembly because I had a dream. And my environment back then, yes, it didn't allow me, because if I put this lighter, okay, let me turn it around, because someone will say, Bongani, you are cheating us, Bongani. So let me turn it around. If I take out this lighter in this water, it's going to be a challenge for it to light because it's in the water. It's bad environment. So in public success, I talk about some environments will try and destroy it. If I take it out, it's going to be hard for it to light. But when you have people like Doctor who will come into your life, because of association, you'll begin to light. I just had to show somebody who would say, sometimes you got to change your friends. I talk about mentorship. I talk about, some of you want to go to the next level, but you're still hanging around with chickens. Yet you're an eagle. The whole day you quack, 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 quack. You're complaining about this. You're on Twitter. You're speaking bad about people. Hey, but if you have a dream, you don't have time to hang around with chickens. You allow them to behave as if they can fly because they got wings. They I almost said wings, KFC or chicken. But yeah, anyways, yeah. So you gotta behave like an eagle. Behave like an eagle, where you tell yourself, I'm not gonna allow situations to destroy me. My last closing words. Life is a very difficult thing. We will go through different seasons, different challenges. And one of the things I always share with people, and they don't believe me, when I was drunk to the point that I almost lost my life because my friends put a drug in my drink, which I touch on the book, I lost my teeth in front. And it was so bad. Like literally, it was so bad that I never thought that I would be able to speak in front of people. But one of the things I worked for years is to self-love. In order for you to be great, in order for you to change nations, in order for you to be a powerful speaker, is you must love yourself. Date yourself. When you love yourself, you will not allow anything to stop you. So what I'm trying to say, as you can see, I'm wearing so good. But at the same time, you must know that there will be stormy seasons. And when stormy seasons come, the question is, are you prepared enough to wear your raincoat when it's raining? Because when it rains, it's not going to stop. But when it stops, you must be ready to take it off and still continue your journey because you love yourself. My name is Bongani Putsoane. Thank you so much, my dear doctor, for the invitation. God bless you.
Wow.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we please all unmute and really
Absolutely.
give our thanks to
Well done, my brother.
Bongani?
Thank you so much.
Well done.
Oh,
Well done. Thank you so much. It's raining cats and dogs outside here in East London, and I don't have my raincoat, but I'm definitely going to get one. Thank you so much. I think we will now open the floor for questions. And maybe I have a question. Big energy. I agree, Zanji. There. Thank you so much. That was so well prepared, very authentic, and just very powerful. We really appreciate it. I have a question for you, sir. And I just want to know, when you were in that position where you were down and out, if I may call it that, what is it that you think your family could have done to help you get out of there?
I think the greatest thing that I appreciate about my family, like I'll be very honest with you, my family, what I'm grateful for them is the fact that they are alive. My mom and my dad, is not the type of a family where they tell you, I love you and I appreciate you. They're just there. I appreciate the fact that when I walk home, they're just there. So sometimes it's not the words that we need to receive from people, but it's their presence that changes the whole situation. It's like when you're a young person, when you're a young person, someone bullies you and they hit you. And then when you come back and say the story to your family and your brother is there, and your brother says, go and show me that person. You will never point that person by yourself, but you are going to point that person because of the presence of your brother. So sometimes the presence of your family makes a huge difference. So for me personally, I think them being there and just making sure our son is alive, because I'm the only person who's a public speaker. It's foreign in my family books and all that, but I appreciate the fact that they are there.
Mm-hmm. And at the time when you were in that moment, do you think they could have, what is it that was going on in your mind? The reason why I'm asking this is because there's a very close family member who I believe is going through the same thing. And we are trying everything, but it feels like until he decides, like Bongani was saying earlier on, until this person decides that, it ends here, I feel like there's nothing that we can do. We're throwing therapy, we're throwing everything at this person, but nothing seems to work. So I'm just trying to understand what state of mind were you in at that time, and what is it that you wish they could have known or they could have done? What is it that you wanted from them at that point in time?
There's one thing that people will never forget. I'll be very honest. Even though I was in drugs and stuff like that, but I know the truth. You cannot change the truth, even if I try. But it's the truth that my family was always there. So the person that you guys are helping, do your ultimate best, so that you yourself, you don't feel guilty at the end. You've done your best. There's certain things that our parents will do at their level best, but sometimes at the end of the day, the decision is in your hand. But the greatest thing that I'll also add in that is that you guys must try and get that person, the right people to mentor that person. For example, me, I was never a spiritual person. I'm just going to add spirituality in this. I was never a spiritual person, but one of my friends invited me to church. When he invited me to church, it changed the whole thing. And when it changed the whole thing, now I got busy with productive things, doing youth camps, going to youth, doing motivational talks. So I think some people is because they feel as if life is boring because they got nothing to do, and because they grew up in a certain way, their mindset has been shaped that way. So, but when they have people who come and mentor them, I don't mind if it's a guy to assist. I can lend my hand because we deal with different cases every single day. Because sometimes you gotta let people burn, and they realize in their burning what you show. I have a family that really cares. You understand? So, but with that situation, please contact me and let's see what we could do, and then we will try and assist, and we'll trust after that person will be transformed.
Thank you so much. I definitely will contact you. Thank you.
100%.
Over to you, Mbali. I believe you have a question or comment.
Yes, I do, Pastor Bongani. Like, I could feel this preaching spirit. I almost like stood up and the whole table like went, because I'm like, I'm in it. I'm even getting like the energy levels are going up. I just want to ask you though, what is your favorite scripture? Because while you were speaking, I got the Proverbs 3 verse 5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not in your own understanding. That's what I got from what you were speaking. But I just want to know, except for Jeremiah 29 verse 11, except for that one, what else is your scripture? What's your favorite? Like your go-to scripture when everything is like dark?
I'll be very honest, because I didn't mention this. I don't like mentioning because people, you have to answer a lot of questions. I come from an Islamic family. So I was brought up in an Islamic family. So when I came into church and then I became a Christian, because I couldn't read and write and stuff like that, I was taught by my friend's sister. She was in Sunday school and I was like a youth guy. She taught me the first scripture I learned is John 3 verse 16. So she taught me for like the whole day. That's my go-to scripture. And the second one is Matthew 6:33. Seek first the kingdom of God and everything shall be added. So I'm that type of a person that despite of everything, I definitely seek God in everything that I do, that He will provide, So yeah, that's those are the two that keeps me going.
We'll have more time to discuss about it. So thank you very much for answering my question. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have Tobisi again. Tobisi, I'm not sure if you will be asking both your questions. One, I think, was for Bongani. But over to you, sir, however you want to do it.
Greetings. I'm sorry, I'm on the road, so I can't be on live video. Hopefully, it's gonna be fine. That's gonna be fine with you guys. Yeah, I'm gonna go for both.
Okay.
Firstly, I wanted to check with also Sibongile. I wanted to check if I wanted to check how is the relationship with the brother currently, because from my reading of the situation is that at some point the brother was there to protect, but I think as the journey went by, it's like they went different parts. So I firstly wanted to check that is the brother still around and what's the situation there, so that I can go on and comment.
Hi, Mtobisi. Yes, my brother is alive, but we don't have much of a relationship currently. So it's more of what's up? Hi, how are you? Can I please have 100 rand here and there? Or we meet at a funeral, at a family funeral or at a party. And when we meet, I think I'm mature enough to to not make things awkward, you know. So we like you would swear we are boyfriend and girlfriend when we are together. But
Yeah,
besides people's where people are not watching,
yeah.
we don't connect.
Okay. No, okay. No, the thing is, the reason why I'm saying that it's because I come from the very same experience. The family that I'm from, we've got one mother and then we are different kids. My brother being born in 1983, my sister 1990, and me being the youngest was born in 1994. And the issue with me is that I think as Pastor Bongani was saying, I believe that it shouldn't be a situation whereby one has given up. I think it should be something that we go on, we keep on trying, because I'm trying to look at a brother. You know that as a male person, we again believe that at some point we'll expect him to have offspring. So I think your brother currently, he has lost himself. And if he has lost himself, if I were to put it that way, I would say that even his offspring, it's going to be a generation of people who are lost. So I believe that we should be doing our level best to ensure that we help the brother to find himself, and in any way that you can, in any way that you can, and as Pastor Bongani was saying, that it can also be an issue of references of people that he can look up to, because his father not being around, so he's not been taught in actual fact that how we should go about that. So I think that's what I wanted to say. Like I got very, very personal. Thank you so much for the quick review in that regard. So that's what I want to say. Now I want to go to Brother Bongani, or maybe we can even speak off air about this, because I'm also interested to know him, to connect with him, because we are sort of like walking the same journey. Because in some instances, when you explain yourself to someone who's never been through your experiences, it's like they cannot be in a position to assist you. Yes. Brother Bongan, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the book review. And I don't want to be bragging, but guys, I was there last week. Brother Bongani had his amazing book launch. So what you witnessed today is just I don't want to say it's nothing, but I so wish you guys were there at the book launch. So it's the same energy, it's the same vibe. But Bongani is a very energetic person. So if I were to speak about private failure and public success, for me, and I also now want to try and link this up with the topic in which Sibongile was talking about. Someone said that men are going through hell, but they walk as giants. Men are going through hell, yet they walk as giants. So that will be private failure, because we are going through hell, but in public, we are walking as giants. So I believe the fact that we should be doing something about that, because I think all of these things, the private failures and then public success, I think it goes back to the issue of awareness. Because if you have not found yourself, like identity, once you have lost identity, you have lost your entire being, because the real person is actually the identity. So we should be doing much in that regard. And I think I was touched when you spoke about Ntate Patrick Shai, whom was someone who mentored me, whom was someone that I knew from the personal level. And then he even had an organization who was called Kuluma Ndoda. And I once went there and I had my own journey there, shed tears. And for him to have sort of walked the path and how his life ended, it's also something that made me sad and things like that. But anyways, thank you so much. It was my first time here. I can definitely promise you this is not my last time here. I'll be coming every Sunday. Thank you so much. Love from KwaZulu-Natal. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Jovisi. And here you are not wrong, you are in the right place. We brag about attending book launches, we brag about reading books. So anything reading and writing, we are there. Thank you so much. And now we have Dr. Sibo. Please, the floor is open for your question.
Right. Thank you so much, Madam MC. My question will be to our brother Bongani. But let me just say, I think from the get-go, my brother, before I can get to your new book, I know I've made my order, and I think I will be able to get it within the next maybe couple of weeks, depending on how long Parks Services take with their deliveries. But thank you so much. Let me maybe by first congratulating you on your big achievements, first book, and you are now on your second book. I know how it takes, how long it takes, how much determination it takes to basically go through that process of writing a book. And for you, I think it's quite an interesting journey that you have been through, also having to learn from your first book, what you went through as a child and growing up. You know, the addictions you spoke about now briefly, they are all detailed in your first book as well. And what was going through your mind in those specific moments before you can maybe turn to the point whereby you got the transformation, you got the help, and how did that go about? The thought process first as you were hooked, and then how did you get out of that process of, addiction, basically? So I would like to hear your thought in that regard.
You can see, my doctor, you did PhD. You want the thought process. There's so many things that happens. I'll be very honest. Some people get addicted. I'll talk for me, but I'll also like to say some. Sometimes we do decisions based on trying to have fun, but at the same time, in us trying to have fun, we get hooked. So with me, how I got hooked to petrol, the funny way, they were just fixing a car. And the mechanic just shared a joke. He said, if you sniff petrol, you get high, which is true, because he's been dealing with, when you remove petrol, you want to start a car, how mechanic works. Yeah. But because I was young, he sowed a seed in my head of saying, you're going to get high. So I wanted to experience that of being high, which I did experience because I tried it after he has left, then it became an addiction. So the problem with us is like, as people, sometimes we don't like the drugs. We don't like the stuff that we are doing. But the problem is that it's in us now. How do we take it out? We know how to take it in, but the difficult part is to take it out. So sometimes it's like you just wanted to try it. Yeah, but in your mind, you just only, but the mental side, you are happy. That's one thing I can say. You are happy. It's like when you are drunk, if you can't express yourself, you express yourself because now you're not scared to be vulnerable. And also you want to numb the pain. So I was dealing also with father issues, being rejected. I was a soccer player. I was very good in soccer. My father was never there to cheer me on in football. So that means also there's certain things that you're trying to run away from. So I was playing for Orlando Pirates Junior, and every time when I would be in the pitch, all the other parents, because it was a proper club, other parents are there. So I don't have no parents showing up for me, So now I became a person who's saying, how do I numb my pain? So most people are addicted to these things because they want to numb pain. There's certain things that are going through in them and they're looking for answers. But when they're going to people are not answering them. So hence they say, the proper friend that I could have, it's this addiction. So with me, how I came out, it's a funny story. I went to church. And when I got to church, they just said, Bongani, no one even laid hands. I never went to rehab. This is a person I was addicted to alcohol, drugs, all different things. When I went to church, I found meaning to life. I just lifted up my hand and I said a simple prayer. And when I went home, I wish you could see my mom's face. When I went home, my parents said, when I walked in the house, no smelling of petrol, no drugs. They're like, hey, they were shocked. It's like the world was ending. Like, say ha. I said ha. He said, well, there's nothing in it. What happened? 2 days, 3 days went by because now I was more getting busy. I found meaning to life. I found something to live for now. That I said, hey man, this thing doesn't give value. It's destroying me. So But some habits do need rehab. Some habits need some mentors to speak life. Like Udum Tobisi is a brother a brother closer to me. Some guys that just need valid. Like for example, sorry to take long. Most young people right now, they have anxiety to make friends. I couldn't believe it. I'm a youth pastor. Immediately when I said to them, socialize with people, hey, trust me, they just shake. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Don't you? Because they're used to having a cell phone in their hands. You understand? So now to break that addiction, it needs someone who has been through that experience to be able to show them the way out. I can't show them out. I might shout at them and it will cause them for them to do the similar thing again. But when you have somebody who've been in that shoes, they are able to speak to that addiction and they kick it out. So with me, I just went to church, my leader. And after that, I found meaning to life and I was joyous. Even now, I've been through so much. I don't even think about taking my life because I love myself so much because of the people that showed me the way out.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, my brother. I will end it there.
Thank you so much, Bongani. We really appreciate it. Can you please let us know how can we get in touch with you and how can we get a hold of your books?
I'm muted now. Thank you so much, guys, for the opportunity. Yeah, so you can get the book by me. The book is 250. You can get it by me. My phone number. You know, when you start, when you get elevated, you start going to radio. You know how to repeat the number on radio. 083-993-4046. For listeners, maybe you're driving, like Mtobis is driving. Let me repeat the number. Just take out your phone. 083-993-4046. I'm gonna type it on the comment section. Yeah, please, I would appreciate maybe to follow you guys on social media so that I can also support you guys as you're gonna be supporting me. So I'll just put my name and surname on the comments. Please follow me on social media, and I will also follow you, and then we'll see how we best can support each other. Like Ntobisi said, I think I'll be joining also every Sunday. Please add me if there's a WhatsApp group. Hook me up. It was really an amazing space. You know, we're learning new things. I'm really inspired by this platform. So thank you so much, my leader.
And thank you to you all for your extra 27 minutes. I hope they were worth it, or I know that they were definitely worth it. You guys were so engaged. Thank you. Thank you, Bali. Thank you, everyone, and have a lovely evening further. I hope you were inspired, and please continue reading, continue joining us. We meet here once a month, and you know where to find us. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Heritage Day. Good evening.